everyone, this is Alyssa with Bengal Cat Love, and I'm really happy to have connected with a lot of people over the first video that I made, Should You Let Your Cat Outside, especially a Bengal cat. After getting into some conversations, it sounds like this is a common question that cat owners and Bengal owners ask themselves because there are a lot of risks associated with letting a cat outside, but also sometimes it can be best for the cat in the situation. It just really depends. So taking everything into consideration, I finally decided to let my cat outside. I didn't think it'd come down to this so early on. I thought that maybe I would be able to let him outside within a year or so, but the problems escalated quickly to a point that it was causing a lot of stress, and some events also happened that kind of forced us to making the decision to letting the cat outside, so here is how it went. So the first day went very, very terrible. I first let him outside on a leash and I walked around with him for about 45 minutes or so. I had some fantasy in my head thinking that this was going to be enough for him and that he would be satisfied with the outdoors on a leash, but this wasn't the case at all. So as I had to get back to work, I let him go on his own. And he was outside for a couple hours or so, and he spent most of his time at the neighbor's house bullying the other cats. I would look outside and see him chasing cats under the house, and he was patrolling around like he owned the place. After bullying the other cats, my boyfriend spotted Malik in the backyard chasing a deer. He wasn't running after it, but he was really puffy and he was walking towards it with confidence, and the deers ran off the property. So clearly he wasn't intimidated by a deer. A little bit later, we heard some terrible cat fighting noises, so we hunted down Malik and we found him cornering another stray cat in the corner of a shed. At this point, we decided we had enough. This was too hard. I couldn't deal with this. Clearly, at this point, I didn't think Malik wanted outside. I thought that he just wanted to terrorize the other cats. And honestly, unattended, I didn't know what he'd do. I wouldn't think that he'd actually kill another animal or seriously injure another animal, as he'd always been really friendly with other cats that he's met, but I just didn't really know. So we took him inside, we put him in a room by himself with a little heater to make it nice and warm for him, and he did eventually calm down, but he was definitely shaken up for a day at least. Also, when we took him inside, he immediately started picking a fight with his brother, Nikolai, which we didn't like at all. So we had to keep them separated, otherwise he would chase him around till he was yowling and even spitting a little bit. So after a terrible experience on day one, we decided that we didn't want to let him outside because it was just too hard and it seemed like he was going to get in a fight or hurt the neighbor's cats, and none of that would end well. We then started to realize maybe he didn't want outside so bad, but maybe he had a lot of anxiety over the other cats because he's an alpha, and once he knew there were cats on the property, now it just caused him more anxiety knowing they were out there and they could be potentially looking in at him and trying to take over his territory or something, I don't know. So he really had about 3 windows and doors that we called his anxiety doors or his anxiety windows, and what he would do is just sit at these windows and meow, or should I say yowl, like the worst cat noise ever. Just, it's piercing, it makes your ears want to bleed. There are probably about 20 windows in the house that he could look out of, but there were only about 3 that really caused him anxiety that he would sit at. So we thought, let's cover the windows. We must have been running on lack of sleep because we thought that we'd cover the windows from the inside, but even with a towel, Malik would jump up and over the towel and do whatever he could do just to see out of the window. So then we ended up getting a black tarp and putting it on the outside so that he couldn't scratch anything down. But this didn't fool him. As you know, Bengals are very smart, and he knew it was a windowsill and he had known that he had seen a cat there before. So aside from him meowing a lot, the anxiety did calm down a little bit, and he was actually pretty good when we were playing with him, but we can't play with him 24 hours a day. So we had a really important trip coming up. It wasn't really a vacation, but we didn't really see that we should postpone it because the cat was meowing a lot, so we decided to go anyways. We were on our trip and we were hundreds of miles away from home, about as far as we could drive on day one, when we got a call from the neighbor about 9 or 10 p.m. at night. And he said that your cat is outside and it's hunting the other cats. I don't know if this was your intention or not of letting him out, but I just wanted to let you know because something tells me you didn't want him outside. But while we were gone for the first night, we actually had some family staying at the house, and we told them that Malik was having these issues and that he could not be let outside, but somehow it happened anyways. We weren't able to get a hold of family, so we decided that we had to just let him outside for the night to see what happens. This was really hard being so many miles away from home, but I knew that it might come down to this anyways, so needless to say I didn't get very much sleep that night. The next morning, the neighbor didn't call me with any bad news, and the cat sitter was able to retrieve him and put him back inside. And she said that he was fine. He had a couple little scratches on his face, but nothing big, and he came straight to her when she called, and we told her just leave him inside for a few days while we were traveling, and then we came home and he was still indoors. So since he was out for a night by himself and nothing bad happened, we figured that it was probably okay to start letting him outside a little bit more, since clearly he was staying close, he wasn't getting in too much trouble, and he was coming home when we called him. So now we try to keep him inside at night, definitely, but in the morning after he's eaten, he wants to go outside, so we let him. And now that he's kind of realized that there's other cats on the property and he's probably associated with them a little bit, he's not spending as much time up in the neighbor's house, which is really great. He's actually spending a lot of time really close to home. And you know how cats are. As soon as they're in, they want out, and when they're out, they want in. If you've ever seen the Simon Cat video, it's kind of like that. So now it seems like it's almost a game to him. He meows and we let him out, and then he meows and he wants to be let in. But I do notice that he is walking on the property, he's exploring some of the harder to reach places, and he seems like he's enjoying himself a lot more. And the best part of all is when we let him inside, he's as happy as a clam, purring, licking himself, eating, and all that anxiety's gone because he knows that he can go out now. I was also worried that once he was outside, Nikolai would want to be outside as well, but that's not the case. Nikolai, also known as Bugaboo, is really pretty happy being an indoors cat. Even when he sees Malik outside, he'll run to the window and look at him, and sometimes they'll play or chatter through the window, things like that. But aside from being amused, he really has no intention of going outside. He's happy playing indoors where it's nice and safe and he's fed. So in conclusion, that's what I did. I let my cat outside, and I don't know that I'll ever be 100% comfortable with this, but was it the right thing to do? I don't know. At this point, I don't think there's any other options. Being an indoor cat doesn't seem to be an option. He's not satisfied being on a leash, and I don't even think that he'd like an enclosure, because as soon as he's in an enclosure, he wants out of it. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe below. And I'm also in the process of creating a digital educational course about raising Bengal cats called Bengal Cat Love. And it includes all sorts of great videos on a variety of topics, such as this one. If you want more information on that, feel free to visit bengalcatlove.com. And once you visit there, you will also get an additional free video about Bengal cat things that you won't be able to learn from the internet. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.